Welcome to Stop Making It Worse. And I am sitting here with Michelle. And I've known Michelle for a very long time. Rather than explain anything, I'm just going to let you experience her. So tell us who you are
Okay.
and kind of how we met and just go from there.
Sure. So my name is Michelle Boerst, and I'm currently a beekeeper, which I always say if I mention that at a party, the party stops because everybody runs over to talk to me. So I'm going to start telling people I am an accountant. So I met you a long time ago, 2011 or 12, because I came to work for you.
Correct.
And so I have a degree in public relations and all of that. But my children, I was taking care of my children, and so I was kind of looking for something that I didn't really have to work too hard at, I
Kind of
guess.
part time, maybe.
Kind of, yeah. And what was happening was I was dropping my kids off at school in the same pajamas I was picking them up in the afternoon. And so I had started volunteering, and that's where I found out about y'all were hiring. And I thought, oh, this is great. I really don't want to, I don't want to do anything too strenuous. And so I applied, and the lady that I don't, can I say names? Can I say
Sure, you
people's
can.
names? Okay. So Danny interviewed me, and she said, I do not understand why you're here and why you're applying for this job. Like this just doesn't compute. And I said, same thing. Look, man, I need to get out of my pajamas
Oh,
and I need to find something to do. And I really like nonprofit, and I really like helping people. So I knew that was going to be a fit from day one. So
but you had no experience with drug addiction.
no one in my family is any kind of has any kind of addiction. No alcoholics. No, none.
So what did you do when you first got there?
Um,
How were you going to be helpful to us?
well, just the nonprofit, and I just, I just knew I could be helpful, because that's just kind of the person I am, and man, I'm willing to do anything. I'm really willing to work hard all the time. I have zero issues showing up. I'd be reliable, whatever. Um, and it turns out that I was very much a love and logic parent. Raised my kids with consequences, and you can do what you want, but if you make that choice, this is the consequence.
Right.
And it turns out that recovery is very similar.
It it is. So question, we had like this sweet little lady from the church when she found out what we were doing. She wanted to come volunteer and she was just going to answer the phone. And that very day that she did, we had somebody call who was going to commit suicide.
Hmm.
And Danny was there. We had Danny on the phone with her for literally over an hour or
Hmm.
so. We got her to trust us, to tell us where she was. We sent help to pick her up.
Hmm.
And I don't know how she ended up with our number, but it was this very emotional thing. And Danny kind of broke down when it was done because it was a woman who was very much not telling us where she was, but wanted us to know why she was killing herself to
Awful.
the point that Danny was able to get her. And the thing was, it was going to be 45 minutes to get an ambulance out to her, but we could get a deputy out there in about 10 minutes.
Right.
So we had to explain to her what was happening, that she wasn't being arrested,
Right.
that they were coming to take her and not to fight with
A
them.
welfare call. Yeah.
And so it worked out. And it was just, we call that Tuesday
Hmm.
at Solutions of North Texas. And this woman watched it all happen because she first answered the phone and she's like, I'm not sure what to do with this. This woman said she wants to die and wanted us to know.
Hmm.
So she left for lunch and she never came back.
Sure, I could
You
see
kept
that.
coming back.
Oh, sure. That would not have bothered me. I would have seen that as a Tuesday.
Right. It's a Tuesday. It's like, you should see what happens on Thursday.
Right. I will
So,
say that before I came to work there, I worked as a newspaper reporter for our small town.
mhm.
And you have to have, I have a degree in journalism and public relations. You have to have the thickest skin as a newspaper reporter you would ever imagine. I covered all the city council meetings, and every time they called and told
Didn't
my
you
boss,
just host a demonstration in your town?
yes. Yes, I
Here,
just,
you might want to move that.
yeah, because it's making noise.
You can put it on the speaker right behind you down on the ledge.
Oh, okay. Um, yes. So people would call after every meeting, and the article came out. They would, she's a liar. She's whatever. And so you just have to have a thick skin. You also see some uncomfortable things. You have to cover uncomfortable stories. So none of that. Sure,
Hmm.
sure.
So, what are some of your early memories? Because you were back in the day when we had, I mean, we were doing interventions. We didn't really call them interventions as much as, I mean, that's how we got Danny. We went down and snatched her up,
Right.
and we just, it was kind of like just get in the truck,
Hmm.
and so, but it was a different working environment. What is some of your early memories about that?
So I remember the lady that dropped her daughter off. She pulled up at like 4:30 on a Friday, said, "Get out of the car," and was going to leave. And the daughter, and we're asking the daughter. She did. She left, and we're asking the daughter. We brought her in, and we're like, "Why are you here?" And she goes, "I don't know. I don't do drugs or alcohol. I'm not an addict." And this lady had just had enough. She wasn't following the rules. She had a boyfriend. She was in high school.
Yeah,
Like rebel kid crap.
dropping us off like dropping her off like where the fire station
Yes,
with the
exactly.
newborn.
Exactly. And so that's funny because I used to tell my kids that Quick Trip and the fire station were safe places. And if they bothered me, I would pull in. And so anytime I pulled into the Quick Trip or the fire station, my kids panicked. Anyway, so this lady dropped and we had to call her and beg her to come back and get her kid. And
Right.
we all had to stay till like 6 o'clock Friday evening because the lady wouldn't come back.
Right.
And she was like 16, 17 years old.
It's like, why is she here? What did you think we were going to do? Just raise her for you? Because it's the wrong place.
Right. I mean, yeah, you don't want us raising anyone. So yeah, so that was an interesting afternoon. It was like, okay, we always had our staff meetings on Friday afternoon, which was such a beating because at the end of the week, you're like, I just want to go home. I just want to stab somebody. I'm so done with this place. So we quickly realized that was a bad idea and moved our staff meetings from Friday afternoon at 4:30. But anyway, so yeah, we stayed forever with that lady. So that was weird. Um I remember this girl that was going to come in and she was panicking and had all this anxiety, and we it was like Monday and we couldn't get her in until Wednesday or Thursday. And so she kept calling. Ah! And finally I was like, look, I don't have time for this. I don't have time to be on the phone with you, every 3 hours. Go take a bath, get some tea. I don't know what you got to do. Go take a bath and calm down. Thursday's gonna get here. And they're like, did you just go tell like this person in active addiction and anxiety about wanting to get here sooner to go take a bath? And I said, sure. She stopped calling me. That was great. So it was, I guess there was kind of a common sense to it all that made sense to me, where I'm like, just stop.
So you had to learn how to work with a lot of difficult people, though.
Sure.
There were people that you sparred with.
Oh yeah,
There
lots of
were,
them.
and literally after hours, while Jeremy was doing training with you and Leslie, you guys actually started sparring.
Oh yeah, Leslie and I couldn't stop like making it real. Like we were doing this Muay Thai as a workout, and Jeremy had to keep stopping us because he's like, no, no, you don't wind up fighting every time. Like you don't actually get in a fight." I remember the guy that kept cornering me behind my desk. Do you remember that guy?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and I was like, okay, we got to refigure this receptionist area because the door was over here and you came in and the wall was behind me on two sides behind my desk. And I said, people corner me. We have to rearrange the reception room because I said I'm not going to get cornered back here. I'm going to punch him. So that was pretty fun. Things like that. That.
So you have a degree, you did all this other stuff. Now you got thrown into the human zoo,
Sure,
basically,
sure.
because it is a laboratory of human, I don't know, behaviors,
Yeah, yeah.
things that they did, the
It's a
things that
petri
people with
dish.
an
Yeah.
addiction, they do crazy, crazy stuff. And you see parents losing their mind. I mean, do you remember the different fathers that would give us money, because they were paying to get their daughter into the place, but then they felt like they somehow owned us
Yeah.
because it's like, hey, I don't think you understand. I wrote the check. And it's like, you want to go, hey, buddy, we're a nonprofit. The check you wrote is about a tenth of the size of the check that you would write to any other for-profit treatment center.
Right. Or to
So
the court.
if you don't like what we're doing, then why don't you just collect her and go? But they
Yeah.
felt like they had this ownership over us.
Sure, sure. Yeah. I remember the girl that came in and a gentleman paid her entrance and she needed a job. Of course, they all needed a job. And so she wanted her job to be going to this very elderly widowed gentleman's house to clean it. And we were like, oh, no, no. That is not a job. And you're not going over there and doing that. So things like that. It just,
And you
people.
took over the job search for a while because
Mm,
our whole concept was we get them in here, they're completely broken. We expect them to test positive because any center that's expecting somebody to be sober as they walk through the door for any type of sober living or aftercare, you're expecting very healthy decisions out of very sick people.
right, right.
So we were, I mean, it got lively in there sometimes. We had a lot of different people, a lot of different attitudes, and we would show them how this is how you keep your finances straight. This is how you budget your time to make sure you get where you're supposed to be. This is how you find a job. You know, at the end, we put 25,000 people to work.
I believe it. That's a
And
lot.
usually, if you remember during job search, it was 2 to 3 days. If it took them more than a week to get a job, we were like, okay, what's going on?
I
Why
think
are you cherry picking? What are you not doing?
Jason said one time that our average was 17 days from the day they came in. And you have to consider the first week they
Yeah,
were
we didn't want them looking for a job.
right, they were doing their meetings, they were doing their family meetings, they were getting acclimated. So from the day they walked in, 17 days was like the average that everyone was
Right.
hired.
Well, I didn't like that number.
Oh, why?
Because I think it should have been, we wanted to keep them the first week. And I understand sometimes there was extenuating circumstances. We had to get an ID or something.
Mm-hmm.
But once they hit the ground running to do job search, it was typically between 2 to 3 days before most of them would get hired. However, we had some people that would just mope around and wouldn't get it. Well, what are you doing? I'm doing everything you told me to do.
Not true.
And it's like, no, you're not. It looks like sad sack.
Right?
Walking in a place, y'all don't hire criminals, do you? No, we don't. Not if you're going to talk like that. And
Right?
we've had some special people walk through that door. A lot of different things, and it's unfortunate that we're not there anymore. But you saw a lot of growth, and one day everything started changing for you because your kid had it's just a school project. Was it an FAA project or just a school project?
Oh yeah. So he was FFA and he wanted an animal. And
Uh-huh.
so he wanted goats and I was like, "Ah," but we now have 4 goats. So that was not a good point. But I said I don't want goats, but I really like bees. Let's try bees. And the
So
teacher
you
was all for it.
determined what your kid was going to do for his.
Well, I suggested it and the teacher was all over it because she was like, no one's ever done that.
Okay.
So Tim won a scholarship at the local bee club. He got the bees, the equipment, all the classes, everything for free. However, the parent had to go to every class with him.
Right.
It was once a month and it was 2 to 3 hours. And it was an hour and a half drive to get there. So it was my whole Saturday once a month, and I had to sit there with him. And so, of course, by the end, I had a beehive, a suit, and I had bought all the equipment too. So then after that year, my son found girls and welding and cars, and I had 2 beehives. So
Yeah.
I was stuck with them.
He lost interest in bees. You gained interest
Oh,
in
yeah, I was
bees.
hooked. I was definitely
And
hooked.
you came out one day to tell me, I have this 5 year plan. Do you remember your
Yeah,
5 year
yeah,
plan
I
and what
do.
I said to that?
We'll see.
I said, I
Okay.
think it's more like a 6 month plan.
It was 8 months. It was eight
Yeah.
months, and I was like, I gotta go.
Yeah.
So I think the turning point for me at that point was I I had negotiated down to 4 days a week, and I was working. I would leave on my lunch hour. I would go do estimates to remove bees. I would pick up swarms. And then I was working. So that was just on my lunch hour and after work every day. And then I was working on Fridays. I was doing bee removals, and we were doing bee removals sometimes twice a day, Saturday and Sunday, because Matt was working too. So at that point, I was like, this is, I mean, we're working 70 hours a week. This is crazy. So can I tell a bee story about you?
You can tell whatever you want to tell.
So you implement it because I would go get a swarm and I would bring it back after lunch and I would set it like on the property or under a tree and open it to, because I didn't want the bees to get hot and die. And you said, you would come in and you'd be like, there's bees. And I'm like, well, they're not going to hurt you. And you said, nope, there's bees. So you implemented a no bees rule. And I was like, okay. However, I still went on my lunch hour to get bees. So I would drive to the back of the parking lot and I would put my car way back there. And I had like a flex. And so I would leave the bees there, but I'd put the tailgate up
Mm.
and way in the back. And then people would they would walk in or they would call me and they go, hey, your trunk is open. And I'm like, oh, oh. We have an no bees policy and I still brought bees on the property. So it was getting rough.
Was that at our old office at the old church building?
It was no, it was at
It
the new.
was on the new one.
Because remember, you had the picnic table with the smoking section.
Yeah.
And I put them in that tree right back there, and you were out there smoking, and you got.
And the bees were coming after me.
They were not coming after
They
you.
were trying to
fine.
kill me.
They were not trying to kill you. Anyway, so that's when they sort of things started to collide, and I was like, okay, this is just getting out all the way around. So
Well, but you also you had this great opportunity to get out there and start doing that.
Mhm.
And now, what level beekeeper are you?
So I am a master craftsman beekeeper. I was the first in the state of Texas.
How many is there now?
Five, including me, because four of them graduated last in November of last year. But in 2022 was the first person. It's like a 5-year program. It took me 9 years because it's kind of a self, and it was new. I
Right.
was the new first person, so there was a lot of trying to figure out what we were doing. And I changed my major halfway through. So after I did it, a lot of people were like, oh, okay. And they really started working on it seriously.
Okay.
And then 4 came up in November. So let me tell you this. When I worked at Solutions, I have to say that as across the board, people, personality, careers, all of that came in the door, the people that worked there were just as fun and as interesting and just as bizarre as I was. That was I think that was why I was such a fit because, well, my favorite thing to say about Solutions is, and it has ruined me for the rest of the world and life and other jobs. So at Solutions, there were never no one lied to you ever. No one talked about you behind your back, and no one ever was manipulative or deceptive or anything like that, or in your face nice and then two-faced. However,
Some of our clients were.
oh sure, lots of those. However, our staff was all very tight.
Right.
But the reason that the lady left at lunch and never came back, and the reason that I stayed was, um, we would just talk to each other like it was. Like we would have staff meetings where we'd be deciding on a new policy or a new way. And I mean, people are yelling and cussing and pounding the table. And, everybody had big opinions and big personalities. And there was no, they just didn't hold back. Everybody threw their ideas out. And people would tell you, that's stupid. But when you walked away from the table, yeah, everybody went to the bathroom, came back, had lunch. We all sat down. We all had a great time. We all laughed because nobody got nobody got their feelings hurt ever.
Well, we could disagree, and this is something that our country has lost.
Yeah.
We can disagree and completely
Yes.
disagree.
Yes.
And you might go, well, no, I don't like that. And if I take a moment to just close my mouth and listen to what you have to say and vice versa, then we might go, okay, so I never looked at it that way. I can totally see where you're coming from. I still disagree, but I totally understand where you're coming from.
Right.
And so I always was the tiebreaker because if we couldn't get a consensus on something, then I'm like, okay, this is what we're doing.
Sure.
And when it's ready for the discussion to be done, it's like, okay, look, this is it. I'm no longer asking. This is what we're going to do. But usually I think we work things out together. We're very open, but we're also very throw it off. Like at any moment between some of the guys that worked there, all of a sudden there would be the little Nerf darts flying around.
Right,
I think
right.
you were usually a target of that.
I had a slingshot in my desk as a receptionist. I don't know if you know this. And when they pissed me off, I would stand, we had a long hallway, and I would stand in the doorway and I would fling.
Slingshot
I
things at
would.
them.
I would. Bobby would run. He was usually the target. Our house manager, and he would run. And but I would. I would slingshot at anybody.
So there was a lot of things there that where it felt very pure and very cool, and we didn't care about what the trends were. We
Right.
cared about how do we do the very best to help the people. It's something we still believe in moving forward with now. What we're doing in jails, it's still the same thing. It's like I'm not afraid to go, hey buddy, what you're doing, that's stupid. You keep doing that,
Right. Right.
and it's going to blow up in your face. That's not going to work out for you. I'm going to say, you have to do this. You got to do it or you're going to die. We don't ever say that, but we're like, hey, look, this is how that's probably going to work out. It's how it's always worked out for you before. So
Mhm.
this is how we're going to do it. And you got thrown in the middle of that and fit in. Whereas it takes a
Weirdly
special
enough.
kind of person. When we hired people, it always took a special kind of person to fit into the
Yeah.
mix. I mean, one of the counselors we hired, I sat down and she looked completely professional. And I'm like, I just don't know about her. And so I sat down and I'm like, can you tell me if you're easily offended? And she's like, easily offended? I'm like, we got people who were at the dope house 2 days ago. No telling what's going to come out of their mouth, especially when they're talking to you.
Mm.
And she stood up. I thought she was going to walk out. She stood up and took off her jacket and exposed. She had a full sleeve of tattoos. And she goes, let me tell you something. I put myself through school being a cocktail waitress, which means I had to wear a skimpy little outfit. And about once a week, I had to tell somebody, grab them by their thumb and say, if you put this on my butt one more time, I'm going to rip this thumb off. And I'm like, oh, I kind of like her. And our clinical director is like, well, I kind of like her too. I'm like, well, let's give her a job.
Right.
And she fit right in. She was under disguise. She's one
Yeah.
of us under disguise.
Right.
And but sometimes we had to make sure because a person that's used to being in a regular office space will not thrive in this kind of
No.
environment. It's so real. The life and death, the phone calls that somebody's suicidal, talking them off the ledge. Sometimes in the course of 1 hour, somebody will come in and show us their children that they got back from CPS and how everything's good and they
Mm-hmm.
just bought their house,
Mm-hmm.
followed by somebody who burst through the door in tears because their kid just died from an overdose and they want answers. And and it's somebody we never even saw. They want to come to us for answers like what happened, why did this happen to my kid? My kid was a good kid, not one of the dirty kids. I'm like,
Right.
they're all good kids. So it's just this crazy up and down emotional roller coaster. So it kind of makes you a little twisted, and that's why we ended up slingshotting Nerf darts.
Do you remember when you guys went on vacation and we took all the photos? So we brought in these big Catan swords, we had ropes, and we took pictures of all of the employees like chasing each other through the office with you. Like we
Yeah,
staged it all with swords and with ropes. We tied someone to a chair.
we
And
remember.
we set all those pictures to you. We said everything's great, and we started sending you all the pictures that we set up while you were gone.
Well, and so in a normal working environment, people would be like, HR would be
Right.
called in. Of course, you used to always get on me going, you would have a real problem with HR. And I'm like, I work with drug addicts. And
And I was telling my daughter the other day, I was like, the funny part is we did not have an HR department at Solutions for a very obvious reason. Because that would have been a very overworked person. And we didn't need one.
we didn't
No.
because, as you said, people were honest, we were
Hmm.
open,
Hmm.
and we spoke to each other.
Right. And no one held a grudge or took those feelings beyond the table or the office or wherever you were at.
When
And
we basically became extended family, when
mhm,
one person was suffering, we would be with them. When somebody was celebrating, we would celebrate with them.
mhm,
Sometimes just your presence and letting them know that they're fully seen and fully heard is the best thing that can happen for somebody when they're going through something. So we all genuinely cared about each other. Now,
mhm.
some people would leave mad. because it felt like things should be a certain way and other people at the end of the day,
Expectations.
it's a business. You have to run it. And unfortunately, and we mentioned a few other times, COVID happened and funding all but went away. And we
Right.
struggled for 2 more years trying to hope on to cling on to hope that hope on to cling on to hope. Yeah,
Right.
that's
Yeah. Right.
makes great sense. We just wanted money to show up so
Sure.
we could keep helping people, but we help people to the last moment. And I
Yeah.
don't regret that. I regret the fact that there was money available to help that was set aside specifically for that. I'm speaking of the opioid settlement money. But some counties decide they're not going to give it to anybody, as was the case here. And even letting them know, hey, without this kind of help, we're not going to
We're
be here.
saving it for, the perfect, I don't know, perfect addiction rainstorm. I don't know. But,
Hmm.
you know,
That's a very kind thought you have because I think they just like keeping money in the bank.
could be. Could
Uh,
be. So,
but that was a whole emotional mess when everything closed. But you were doing bees. You've got bees on top of a hotel for a chef who's got on his menu. It's got the bee honey, and there's a camera up there you can watch them. And
uh huh.
so, what are some of the crazy things that you run into with bees? Because you're also the official beekeeper from the PGA.
So I'm not official yet. So I do remove all of it. So they have a ton of irrigation boxes with the valves, and bees love those. And so of course they have a million. So I've been at the PGA for 3 or 4 years now. I take out all of their hives there. They want to have hives, and so we're kind of back and forth about when and where and getting it set up. So I think when that happens, I will be the official beekeeper of the Frisco PGA, which I'm very excited about. I
And
actually,
that's their headquarters.
yeah, yeah, I think for North America.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, it's really cool because I'm going to bring my dad down and take him out there for lunch and show him, and it's really a cool place. And they're beautiful people, incredible people. So one of the funniest things that ever happened to us is, uh, we would put bees on other people's properties for them to get an ag exemption. And there was a lady, and we had to go through like two fences and all the stuff to get back to the back of the bees. And there was a road behind our house that was like a private road for a couple of residents, but we could hop the fence and get right to the bees. And it was a bridge that had washed out, so it was like a dead end road. It was this private road, so we would kind of pull past the barricade a little bit, and then walk down in the ditch and just pop over the fence and do the bees. So because when I went over the fence, I actually had to stand on a beehive. I would put my whole suit on, and then plus there was poison ivy, so I would flip into the thing. One time, Matt, my partner, was there, so he was on the road and he was lighting a smoker for me. And I had gotten dressed and I was going down and getting ready to jump the fence. And then he was going to walk down and hand me the smoker. This giant truck pulls up and she blocks us in. And she gets out, and she's the lady that lives on the other side of the broken bridge. And she is on the phone with the county and she is screaming. So maybe 50 feet from where we had parked was a driveway for an elderly lady that had a home. And that lady had apparently called her friend across the way and said that we had blocked her in and were scaring her. So this lady comes flying up in her truck. She blocks us in. She's on the phone with the sheriff, and she says, I quote, I don't know what they're doing out here. They have fire. Maybe they're cooking meth, um, uh, uh, creating, starting wildfires. And we're like, we're beekeepers. And she goes, oh, releasing wildlife and blocking people's driveways.
That's quite the list.
So we're just standing there, and I'm like in my suit, and and Matt was very oblivious to everything, but just kind of what he was doing. So he's like got his smoker and his bee suit, and he's like, okay. So she will not leave. She's screaming in the phone. The old lady comes out, fakes a heart attack. I don't think, I think, oh. And so then the girl's on the phone with the Denton County. She goes, and we need a fire. We need the ambulance because she's having a heart attack. And Matt and I are literally just like, what's going on? So we text the Landover and they come over in their cart and we're all just standing there watching this woman scream in the phone. So the fire truck comes and the sheriff, but they go to the wrong side of the bridge. So we're standing there on one side of the bridge and we can see him. So they have to come, they backtrack and they all come back. So the sheriff comes up and he sees us. He knows exactly what we're doing. We have a smoker. He's like, they're not, there's no,
Not starting the wildfire.
they're not releasing anything. They're
Blocking us in.
they're not even, you're blocking him in at this point because your big giant truck has blocked everybody in. So they're going through all this, and the old lady's like, oh, and the ambulance and the fire truck come up, and they all start to get out, and the sheriff looks at him and goes, "Yeah, no need, nothing going on here." And they all get right back in the truck. The fire backs up, so the sheriff is there with this lady. The other lady stopped faking her heart attack. The rest of us are just standing there. She goes to her truck and she pulls out a giant laminated survey map of the area that she's carrying around in her truck that's all laminated. She whips it out and is screaming about how this is a private road and nobody should be driving on it. And we're all just like, okay. And she left.
Because
finally.
you were there to get bees.
Yeah, we were just doing a regular monthly visit on our bees. And the people's they had a gate there. They were allowed to use the private road because they had a gate. But that lady, the old lady across the street, thought it was her personal road. But it was crazy. We were just standing there going, okay, sure.
People get worried about this private road sometimes.
Yeah.
So you also teach at a university now.
Yeah. So I teach at the Environmental Institute at UTA, University of Texas at Arlington.
What's next?
Wow.
Because you're not really normal. That's why you fit in with us.
Right.
But let's be honest. You would rather live in the woods. You used to tell me all the time. It's like, I can make clothing out of animal hides and plants.
Sure.
And I have value.
Yes.
And so a tribe would take me in.
Yes.
And we would live off the grid. And you'd rather do that than anything else.
Sure.
Still?
So in my family, we have a thing called a superpower. And the superpower is what you think you can do, but everybody else in the family is like, no way. So that is my superpower, that I can live off the grid, and also that I could fly an ultralight. And my family says neither one of those are doable at all.
What's wrong with an ultralight?
Well, my sister has pretty much banned me from buying or getting into an ultralight because she says I have no business. I don't have a pilot's license.
You don't have to have
I know. That's what I say. And I asked my stepdad.
It's a flying bicycle.
It's got a Briggs and Stratton. I asked my stepdad, who is a pilot, and I said, if the engine stops in midair, would I fall straight down? He goes, no, you would go like that. I said, there we go, done.
Yeah.
I think it's a great idea. So
just don't run into wires.
Power lines, right? 10,000 feet. That's where you stay.
Right, but as you're coming down.
Sure, as you come down. Right. You'll steer. So anyway, yes, I would much rather totally be somewhere else, not have people, or I go to the store or that kind of stuff.
Raise your own meat?
Yeah, I sure would. I grew up on a farm. I'm all down with all that.
So you just would like to be almost a commune out in the woods.
Oh yeah. So I have honey, right? So I barter my honey for everything. Right. My electrician is a retired electrician who kept his license, and he'll come over and he'll do a little electrician work for me, and he'll go, my wife says just pay me in honey, and I pay him in honey. I trade people all the time for all kinds of stuff with honey. So yeah, so I definitely love that barter, commune, help each other out sort of thing. While I say I don't like people, I actually do like people.
You do like people.
I do, but
you also like, you'll right fight. You carry it around, you've got a pocket constitution that you've pretty much memorized. And you, just like you hosted a little, I don't know what it was. I heard you talking to Leslie earlier about you organized some sort of
Protest.
demonstration
Yes.
in your town
Yes, on my
and
street. Yeah.
on your street
Hmm.
over code
Yeah.
enforcement
Yeah.
and trees and pointing out the if I do what you're asking me to, it's illegal. It can gut me this way. If I don't do it, you're threatening this to me. So,
Yeah.
you love pointing that stuff out.
Oh, I do. I do. This is what I tell people all the time. I said, look, I'm not going to go chase a fight because the way I look at it is if I have to, I have to put pants on, I have to, go outside, I have to, get myself together, stop doing what I'm doing. And that takes a lot of effort. So I'm not going to chase a fight. And I told the code guy, I said, don't do this. I don't want to fight with you. Like, just stop. And he just wouldn't. I was like, okay. I put some pants on. I have the internet. I can read. I read all their ordinances, and then I just started one after another, throwing them back at them. And I won. I don't have to cut my trees. But I was organizing a block party slash protest. They were going to shut the street down for me at no charge for the permit. The the it was malicious compliance all the way. That guy was like, well, this is going to take an hour. And I was like, oh no, it's like 8 hours. And I was going to trim those branches with fingernail clippers and a trash can on a ladder if I had to. Anyway, so I am a right fighter. Um, I don't like bullies, and I don't like when people, I understand the world is not fair. Totally get that. But I don't like bullies, and I don't like when um, people use rules to control or not use rules to control, where they try to use their position of power
Hmm.
in a unhealthy way. And I don't like when they do that to other people. So I would I would stand up all day long for someone I just met.
Right.
So
I understand that. So you're doing bees.
mhm.
You've had
I'm an urban beekeeper, so
right.
I do all the downtown skyscrapers, parking garages.
In your personal life, your kids are grown.
Yes.
Your kids are grown. Your
Hmm.
husband is no longer with us.
He is not.
Um, his guitar is with us.
Yes.
Two of them.
Yes.
The only person I knew that had what 20, 24 Rickenbackers.
Yeah, he was a Rickenbacker man.
And so when I think about Matt, being another fellow musician that absolutely loves instruments, I think about Rickenbackers.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That
So
was
when we
his
were
favorite.
talking about how you were going to get rid of the majority of the collection, which ones you wanted to keep, and I'm like, I want a Rick. I want a Rick, and so because that's what I think of when I think of
Hmm.
Matt.
Me too. Yeah.
Never had a Rickenbacker before. Got one, love it.
Mhm.
Also got a Strat, and I remember asking Matt, I'm like, 20, 24 Rickenbackers, one Fender Strat. He's like, couldn't help myself. And I totally get it.
Hmm.
You walk in, oh, I have no intention of buying that, but I'm going to play it for a minute.
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh, I can't like not do it.
Right.
And
Right.
and so
I licked it.
if
It's
it
mine.
checks all the boxes, like, no, you don't understand. This is an American made Strat. And so it's going home.
Right.
And I'm honored to have those here. I'm honored that you're like family, and I've watched your kids grow up. I remember when you were having trouble with your son one day, and you brought him in, and can you do what you do and scare him? And there's only one time.
Actually, there was a second time
Mm,
when he was much older because you helped me set him right. There was a second time where he was big on emotion and didn't know what to do with them. And I think he was about 17, and he did not know what to do with all these emotions swirling around in his body and his brain and hormones. And he was saying some scary things, so I took it serious, and we went down to MHMR, the mental health, and he didn't want to go in, and I called you, and you came on your bike and you stood in that parking lot for an hour and just talked to him about
oh yeah,
growing up, being a man,
yeah. What it looks
hormones,
like,
emotions.
the craziness that comes with it.
Yep.
A lot of people think that, well, if I can just get clean and sober, then I don't have to worry about anything. And it's like that's not it's not. I mean, life, people die, people betray you, people say horrible things to you, people that you care for very much have incredible struggles that you wish you could take away that you can't.
Hmm.
And people who can't get over the fact that they can't take that struggle away usually find themselves suffering from codependency.
Hmm.
Um, but it's life is leaky and messy and
It is.
smelly,
It's not.
and especially the world of working in the addiction field.
Hmm.
But I can't think of a cooler thing for me to do. It's where like me being in a jails now, I can't, especially after being arrested 42 times. You would think that somebody wouldn't want to go into the jails, and I can't get enough of it.
Right.
That's what I do all day, every day is work with people in jail. We're trying to diversify and get onto different tablets and different, you can have this self-paced version in this prison and this one over here. But the main thing is, can we survive and can we get this stuff everywhere? Because the outcomes is amazing. We
Hmm.
love it.
Hmm.
We get to be a part of it. And now what my life looks like is with my free time, my career just finances my life.
Sure.
And so I'm out there banging on metal, doing whatever I'm like right now. I'm building a chicken mansion. You see my chicken mansion?
But you told me about it. I'm excited
It's
to see it.
it's not finished,
Well, I'm gonna go look at it.
but it's coming along.
I've had a few chickens
I
in my
got
life.
some sheep now. We keep adding to it,
Like regular
but
sheep?
the mohair sheep, you don't have to shave them.
Really?
Yeah.
If you brush them and you take that very expensive mohair that they sell for $1 million in the yarn shop, people with a spinning wheel can just like,
Well, what I know is I have a male and a female, and they're going to give me a new one each year.
can I brush your sheep?
You can brush my donkey. You can brush my sheep.
So you talk about being in the jail, and this is so funny because everybody at Solutions, because I can't have a temper. And when I'm right fighting, I can get very passionate and I can get very excited about things. And it was always surprising to everyone at Solutions that I had never been arrested.
Well, right, because the way you act, you're like prime candidate,
uh,
especially the way you actively challenge law enforcement.
yep.
For instance, the code compliance most recently, which is a part of the law enforcement. And look, I've had code compliance people that I had to go over their head and go, hey, look, you need to call your boy and settle him down.
Right,
We're
right,
allowed to do this.
right.
And let's just explain a few things to them. Every once in a while, you get somebody who just wants to, they've got a little bit of authority and they want to exert that to the fullest and make sure that you know how important and how powerful they are. And
Yep,
you got a lot of people like us, we don't care. That's not what's important to us. What's important is you get out of our way so that we can help the people that we're trying to help. And we're all very passionate about it.
yep.
Um,
I
and
told him, don't don't start a fight. It won't end up well. I actively tried not to fight. They won't. They wanna.
she's telling somebody that's got a little bit of power that don't do this is not going to end up well. That's a challenge.
So
That's
I
a
won.
challenge,
That's
and
all I have to say.
but
I won. But
it's
um,
of course you never been those of us who have been down that path many times. The last thing we want is to go back and go to jail again.
I will say that there were times when the police early came to our facility. Sometimes someone would come in drunk and decide they didn't want to stay, and we couldn't let them leave. Various things like that. We'd have the police show, and when the police showed, there were several employees that hid. They just were terrified.
Yeah.
They just
The first time they pulled up in that van and they all hopped out, Danny ran into the closet and started
yes.
crying
That's why I say
because
yeah.
she just thought they were coming for her,
They
even though
just
she
couldn't do it.
knew I'm not on dope. I don't have any dope. There's no warrants. They were looking for somebody else. But she had experienced that before,
Hmm.
where they pull up in the jump out boys,
Yeah.
and they just all the doors,
Oof.
and they just like on cue hop out, and it's like we're here, and people lose their mind.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah, see, that does not bother me. I'm not afraid of the police. I, I am not an active. Um, it's not that I'm an active rule breaker. I probably speed every day, just general driving, right? So if I get a ticket, I figure I'm way due.
right.
I'm not trying to speed necessarily, but so I don't actively go out and try to break the law. That's not what I do. But when you talk about the Constitution, I'm a libertarian, and my property is my property, and I truly believe that you need to just stay off of it.
So if you had 100 acres, what would you do with it?
Oh my God! If I had 100 acres, Well, I'm old. That's the problem. If I had 100 acres and some young ranch hands, I would grow all my own food. I would have gardens. I would grow my own pigs, sheep, cow. We'd have deer. I'd have freezers. We'd process our own food or send it off. Yeah.
You
I
could
mean,
do it all.
we would have tractors. I love a tractor.
I
And
got an old tractor. It's older than I am.
oh my God, Matt would not buy me a tractor, even though I begged him. And he said, "We have a half an acre. You can't even turn it around." And I was like, I don't feel that's anything you need to worry about. And I'm very upset that you will not gift me with a tractor.
Well, I gifted myself with
I should have done it.
a 1964 Ford.
A Ford.
Yeah, it's a Ford 2000
Really?
industrial. It's an old tractor
Love it.
and it runs.
Yeah.
And it's older than I am and it just does what it's supposed to do. So
That's how I learned to drive.
well, it don't really drive like much like a car. In
No,
fact,
but I learned to clutch.
no power steering and
Yeah.
yeah, you have to do the clutch.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of things that you went through
Hmm.
from coming to us. When you first came to us, your husband at the time worked for the city of Denton and passed
He
on a job.
passed in 2005 and I came to
Oh,
work in 2011.
okay.
So it was a minute.
So it was a little bit after, but
Hmm.
you were so you came in after that happened, and then as you started working for us and watch your kids grow up, and we saw you meet Matt, and y'all got married, and so in the face of everything that's changes, I mean, when I met you, you were a single mother
Hmm.
and you were these two kids' whole world, and you were just doing what you had to do to make sure that they breathed and ate and came out
Knew
as
someone was
healthy,
there. Yep.
decent people.
Yep.
And
Which they did.
then, then you came to work for us. You left to do bees. Then you're remarried. Matt, your kids seem to love Matt.
They
He
did.
fit right in. Everybody, it's like we knew him forever.
Hmm.
He's a musician, so how could I not like him?
Yeah.
And and then he passed. So in the face of all this, you've had to recreate yourself several
Hmm.
times. And there's so many people out there that are paralyzed by the thought of recreating themselves one time. And you've had to, and now we kind of joke about stuff.
Yeah.
Because I mean, you got two dead husbands, I've got a dead wife.
Right.
It's it's
Humor is my coping mechanisms. And I have to sometimes tell people that, like before funerals and things, because I'm like, I'm going to make a joke because that's how I cope. And it's going to be inappropriate. And you're not going to understand why I'm making a joke. But that's just me coping.
right.
I'm always going to make a joke at the wrong moment. So, yeah.
What would you say to people that are just paralyzed in the thought of moving on without somebody or trying to put the pieces back together? Sometimes they're just unwilling to take a chance. Like I have people I know who have been so afraid to make any move in their whole life that they've never done anything.
I always say, and I tell my children this, that you regret, as I've gotten older, I have realized that you regret the things you did not do. You never regret something you did do.
Hmm.
Because even if you did it and it didn't work out, you don't. Rarely do people look at a decision they made to move forward with something maybe risky and go, "I really regret that." They may say it didn't work out. Um, I'm not sure if that was the right move, but I learned things. I grew. I moved forward. I got uncomfortable. I got comfortable again, which are the stages of growing and moving and popping your shell like a caterpillar and a butterfly. You regret the times that you said, "No, I'm too scared and I won't."
Right. And you would never say that. I'm too scared and I won't. We just find a reason why we can't do something.
Sure, sure, sure.
So,
So, yeah.
and we saw people completely destroy their lives. We had men coming to us that were 50 years old that were stunted like 12-year-olds. Like their mommy was still making their food and setting out their clothes basically.
I know a lot of people who are
And
not addicts that are still that way.
and so, but the thing is we've destroyed our life. We've got criminal records. We've done everything wrong. And if we buy into society, meaning that because of your criminal record, you're never going to experience true success or acceptance in this world, which is 100% false.
Hmm.
But when you believe that's the truth about yourself, then it's a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Hmm.
So after being there and watching people, including our staff, recreate their lives, and you've recreated your life, when you there's people that don't know if they can make it or not, don't know if they can do it. They've never tried to recreate themselves. Maybe they're sitting in jail right now because this is made available to 2 million people in the jails. Then it's also out where you get your podcast, wherever that is. So no telling how many people will hear it. But what will you say to the people who are afraid to make that move and recreate themselves and just be stuck in misery or something that they know they don't like a job that we hate, a career that's going nowhere, but we hold on to it for dear life for our whole life because we feel like that's a responsible thing to do, as opposed to throwing caution to the wind and doing something that you want.
So my first husband passed. The kid's dad passed. He went to work. We knew he had this kind of weird heart thing. He went to work. They called me. His boss called me and said, like you have to go to the hospital. And I'm like, okay, but this isn't like a regular accident. Like you're weird. Why are you acting so weird? And he was just so freaked out. And I said, man, look, is my husband dead or is he alive? What are you trying to tell me? Is he dead? Is he alive? Because he just kept saying you just have to go to the hospital. And he said, I don't know. We don't know if he's dead or he's alive. So I'm like, okay, sure, okay, got it. So I go. So in that one day, me obviously he was brain dead anyway, from his heart having stopped for too long before they found him. So in that one day, I have this life planned out with my kids. Um, we had just bought a house a couple years ago. Like all these things that were into place for this whole life in one day ended.
And derailed.
And I'm sitting there at this massive crossroads going, well, now what do I do? Right? What do I do? Like, I don't, I, my children were 4 and 6. And I was like, I don't know what to do. However, they still needed to get up. They still needed, like my kids still needed me. So I'd get up in the morning and I'd be like, okay, like, I guess I got to feed them breakfast or whatever. And if I was up, I'm like, well, I might as well brush my teeth. So then so you go through this whole thing. Well, if I've brushed my teeth and all that, I guess I should put on clothes. Right. So all these things just kind of keep happening. And you're like, look, I forgot my daughter at preschool twice during this period. They had to call me. I forgot to pick her up twice. And I did not work at that moment. I was a stay-at-home mom. So I don't know what was going on. But this stuff is happening, but it's my kids still needed me and they still needed to grow up and they still needed to learn and have school clothes and like all these things just had to keep happening. And so I was like, okay, well, I mean, this is what we got to do. So I just made it a priority that my kids knew I was there. Like they'd already lost his dad, and I was not going to ever let them feel that I was not there. They got off the bus, I was there. They got on the bus, I was there. Like they never felt that they were alone. Because that was really important to me. So in doing that, we just created our own little team, and we just kind of kept going. But it it just happened in the blink of an eye, right? Like, poof. And I realized your life can change on a dime. And when I realized how fast your life could change on a dime, two things. The first one was you better get to living. You have no idea. And the second thing was my slate is now blank. All this whole plan is gone. So so instead of seeing it as scary or what to do, I thought, what could I write on this blank slate? Anything. I could do anything. I could move. I could and I could get a different job. I have to get a job? Like so many, like it's like my world opened up even though it was an awful reason for it to open up, but it all got washed away and I'm just staring at a whole new okay. So it's like, okay. So I've always been that kind of positive thinker.
Right.
Hey, you know, people are like, oh, I lost my job. I'm like, how cool is that? You get to go look for a new job. And they're like, what? And I'm like, man, what do you want to do? This is the coolest thing that ever happened. And they're like, well, I got 4 weeks severance. I'm like, oh my God. If you go get a job Next week, take a week off, have fun. If you go get a job next week and you get hired, you will have earned 3 weeks worth of salary. Like you got a bonus. And they'd be like, you're right. And everybody would, their whole attitude would change. And they'd come back to me and they'd be like, I got a 3 week bonus. Do you know what I did with it? I paid off my kids' daycare for the year. I did this. I my car needed work. It's
Most
hey,
people have a hard time looking at change that way. Is like, hey, this is an opportunity. This is something. I mean, we recreate ourselves over and over.
mm-hmm.
And I feel sorry for people who talk about opening that business their whole life. They're like, one day I'm going to open up that business. I'm going to open that business one day. And they never do it. They never do it because they're afraid that something's going to happen. And I especially get a kick out of it when they go, when I get older and I retire, I'm going to open up myself a little bar. I'm going to take it easy. And it's like, there is nothing about opening a little
Oh,
bar that
that's
is taking
easy.
it easy
No.
because there is so much work that goes into that.
Mm.
And if you're
And you're
planning
not
to
young
sit
anymore
there and drink with your friends, well, then just go drink somewhere
because you're not
and
making any
call it
money.
your bar. You don't need to
Right.
open it. Or the other great one is a bed and breakfast. My wife and I are going to take it easy. We're going to move up to the coast and we're going to do or up in the mountains somewhere. We're going to do a little bed and breakfast and just take life easy. There's nothing easy. That is no hours.
No.
You are spending your life doing that. It's
Hmm.
not a
And you
time to
live
kick
there.
back
Your
and
dog
take it
is
easy.
literally at your house.
Right.
You have no privacy.
If
People
you
knock
have
on your door.
if you
Yeah,
don't have significant boundaries, it will eat you alive.
exactly. Exactly. So,
So it's just but I feel sorry when people won't even try something and they spend their whole life being safe but never enjoying anything.
so I love to travel, and I have a travel friend. We've been traveling together for at least 15 years. We do little trips and big trips out of the country. So she's getting ready to retire in 2 years, and she said, I'm on a travel kick. And because she's been like, let's go here, let's go here, let's go here. I have 4 days off. She's a nurse. I have 4 days in a row off. Let's go here. I'm like, okay, let me check my bank account. Okay. Luckily, I can kind of work from anywhere. So I'm like, okay. And she said, I have 2 years. I have 2 years to get all the trips in I want because once I retire, I can afford to go to Lake Ray Roberts. And she said, so I got to do it now. And she said, I'm on a kick. I said, I'm with you because what if I die tomorrow? I'm
Hmm.
gonna be so mad I didn't go. Again, I'm gonna regret what I didn't do.
Right.
So yeah, so I'm like, okay, I'm in. We're gonna go the second week in September, we're gonna go take a train through the redwood forest in California, and then we're taking a weaving class and sitting on some ladies under her pergola outside in California and weave.
Well, last time you had this big planned vacation that you were talking to me about, you went to Malaysia
Yeah, yeah.
and you ate food in the open market with all the weird stuff
Yeah.
going on
Yep.
and just did it.
I got off that plane and I said, look, I'm gonna be freaked out by this food situation and this no cold
No help.
storage. No, yeah. I'm really going to be freaked out about it if I let myself. So I'm not going to. And I didn't. So get this. So we went with all these people. We're in Bali. And a lot of the places you went up and you picked your fish. It was like on the street. You walked up to a restaurant and on the outside you picked your fish. So I'm picking my fish, and the girl, there were four of us, and everybody picked their fish. And the one girl picked up like a big grouper or something, or a red snapper. And so the guy in the front, they had a little window that was maybe like 2.5 feet by 2.5 feet. And they would like put your food and they would like throw it through that window for the
Mhm.
cook. So he takes her fish, he goes, wham, and he missed the window and it hit the wall and it slid down and he grabbed it, picked it up and threw it through the window again. And I was like, that was your fish. And she goes, I saw that. We still went in and we ate. I mean, if you were going to freak out about that,
Well, the people that do that, they seem to be pretty healthy. They seem to be adjusted for it.
yeah, I've
It doesn't seem,
knocked
it seems
on
like the
wood,
sick
never gotten
people are
sick.
in our country because everything that we're eating is so I don't know, there's so many chemicals in it,
Mhm,
all the preservatives, and
mhm.
it's supposed to be so healthy for us, and yet it's making us all sick.
Nope. I
So,
I have, like I said, knock on wood, I've never ever gotten sick, and I am an extremely adventurous eater.
hmm
So certain things I kind of am like, no, but I pretty much eat anything local, and I like to go to the local places. Like I don't like to go to the tourist places or that kind of stuff. When I travel, I want to go where the locals are going, and I eat what they eat.
well, and a lot of times, like even here in Texas, the best Mexican food is usually found in a truck or a trailer. And you have construction workers outside, and
Yep,
the whole menu's in Spanish. It's not even
exactly,
in English.
exactly.
And they may or may not speak English. It's not the point. The
Nope.
point is that's some of the most authentic, best food you're going to have. And we got a lot of barbecue places around Texas, and a lot of them are in these. There's a famous one down in Lampasas, Texas, and it's just an old gas station.
Oh yeah, yeah,
There's
yeah.
nothing clean looking
Nope.
about it. There's nothing special about it, but it is just a famous old barbecue joint with really good barbecue and really good barbecue sauce. And it's just, I love food.
The best Korean restaurant in Denton is right next to this gas station. It's over on the UNT campus, and it's right next to like the worst like Circle K place you've ever seen. And when you walk in, you're like, "Oh no, fantastic!" So my friend Cheryl said, "I found this place. We can drive down to the border of Texas. We can get on a burro and we can ride it across the border to and have tacos and margaritas in Mexico. And then we're done. We get back on the burro and ride it back over." I'm like, I'm in. However, I'm very concerned because I'm sure that on the American side, it's kind of touristy thing. They have a way for you to get on your donkey. But when you cross the border and you just go to a Mexican restaurant, how am I going to get back on my donkey? And is some poor little Mexican guy going to have to shove me up on my donkey so I can drive back home? I'm like, I love this. Like all the way to how am I going to get back on my burro? So anyway, adventure.
Adventure.
I have to say, working with you, Leslie, all the people that I met, I was thinking about Bobby the other day, when I first came. I just all the people that I get a little emotional, but the people that I met that I worked with that I love so much to this day. Um, a lot of residents came through. Some really cool stuff happened. Some really sad stuff happened. It's incredible. It's incredible. Um, I did not fit in any of my other jobs, which is why I fit there. I didn't. I'm not a fit for most places. Matter of fact, my current job, they not a culture fit has might have been said.
A lot of people claim that we ruined them for all other employers.
Exactly. So, you know, and I don't know that I was ever a fit anywhere.
hmm
That's the only place I've really ever been a fit. So I thank you for that a lot. So it was comfortable and I felt at home and I did feel like family and I
hmm
just love y'all to death. And so I'm sorry, here I'm crying.
Well, but even years after, we're still family. We still love you. Still waiting for you to bring bees in my house.
You know, and we're gonna get our little goats together and let them hook up and have baby goats. So I'm
I
ready
got a
for that.
baby goat out there.
But now you have the mohair, I'm gonna come brush them. So
So
when I find some free time.
I want to thank you for spending time here and doing this. And you've got videos with like 1 million views of you scooping bees off of a tree.
My biggest one is 15 million views.
15 million views. The one we don't have, the camera that should have been running, was when you and Matt are yelling at each other trying to get bees out. He's on a second or third story and he falls off the roof while y'all are yelling at each other. That's just to me that
So
should be worth 20 million
so
views.
that's not exactly how that happened. So we had taken bees out of a roof. And when we were done, we put because we didn't do the repair, so we put roofing felt. We tacked it in up under the shingles, and but a lot of the times we had to let the bees kind of other bees come and rob out all the
hmm
honey if there was a lot of honey. So we might leave it open for a couple days and then go back and put the roofing felt in. So I went to Detroit with my friend Cheryl for an art show. And so I had it all set up that he was going to go back and my daughter was going to go with him. We had a policy, no ladders, just by yourself. So my daughter was going to go back with him. Well, Matt was time fluid. So, of course, the day that I had it all arranged, he, you know,
Mm.
God knows what he did, but he did not go there. So my daughter wasn't available the next day. So he's like, oh, that's fine. I'll go by myself. So he, it's not funny. Again, humor is my coping mechanism. I'm at a restaurant with my friend, and we had meeting some family that lived up there. He had fallen off the ladder, left his phone in the truck, so he had to crawl. He broke his ankle and his hip, and he had to crawl to the truck,
Truck.
get in, get his phone. He called me. I'm like, what? Like, what? Okay. So because all of our equipment was there and all of our stuff, he called my son, and my son was like 40 minutes away. My son was like, I'll be there. I'm dropping everything. I'm coming. Because he had to close up everything and lock everything
Right.
up. So Matt waited to call the ambulance, to call 911, until my son was about 10 minutes away. So that he didn't leave. Oh, and like he's laying there and someone's gonna come up and be like, excuse me, I'm gonna step over you, I steal all your crap. Like, what was he gonna do? So he waited until my son was about 10 minutes out, and then he called 911, and they came, and I'm just in Detroit going,
Well, I still think that if y'all had carried cameras all the time
oh, he did fight like
with
that.
all the different shows that are on there, you would be hysterical.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I'm interviewing Lena Cisco here pretty soon, and Lena has become a good friend. Well, I'm very fond of her.
She's fun.
We enjoy meeting when we're able to get together. But when I was taking one of her courses, and she had me film you, and you were supposed to tell me two truths and a lie,
Don't even have the
and
ability to lie.
she just was like, just watching her, she was like, because Lena's whole deal is she's an expert at studying human behavior, being able to spot deception. All of her whole shtick is, the human lie detector machine. Her book is called You're Lying. She's one of my favorite people. And she watched that video I sent of you because I thought I'm going to trick her because so many people are so easy to read. I'm like, I'm going to go and talk to you. And Lena was like, oh my God. She's like a cornucopia of human emotions and behaviors. In a span of about 5 seconds, she showed me more than some people showed me in 10 minutes.
Well,
And
you
she's
always
just,
want to think that you can, like, I can fool a lie detector. I can't.
she was so fascinated with all your, she's like going, oh my God, I could watch her forever. So it's amazing. And Lena's going to be on the show here pretty soon. We're just getting our schedules worked out, but I sure do love you, and I thank you for coming to be a part of
I,
this.
I want to tell one last story about you and I, and
Okay.
then I'm done. So I was thinking about some of the crazy stuff we did, and just all the different stories. And this one is my favorite of you and I. So you and I like to drink like Topo Chico or sparkling water.
Yep.
And it was really hard to find the canisters. I got in a fight with a lady at Bed Bath and Beyond, I'm not going to lie, over the canisters. And my kids were like, this is getting out of control. So you and I figured out that we could refill the canisters with dry ice.
And you're talking about the little
The Soda Stream.
Yeah.
Yes. And we figured out we could refill the canisters with dry ice and make our own CO2. So we realized that we could not do this in the lunchroom because we were on the floor in your office. We had a cutting board. We had a knife. We had dry ice we'd crushed into a powder. We had a scale and a funnel.
It looked like there was something back.
And I remember that Amanda, our receptionist, came. She knocked on the door. She walked in. She said, nope.
It looked like a pound of cocaine in there.
So we were just crushing it and punching it. I think we might even had like some little hammer or something. We were crushing it, and we got all done, and we came out. And as usual, Leslie had no idea what she was doing, and she said, "What are y'all doing in there?" And we're like, "Don't worry about it."
So you see, I got a bunch of empty canisters right there. I still do it.
See?
Only the
Yeah.
difference was we thought, okay, so if it's like half of it will
Oh yeah, we were doing math
expand.
too. We had a calculator.
Right, but we did it wrong.
Oh,
Because
did
the
we?
one thing we didn't think about is if you fill that halfway full of crushed ice, okay, really you're only filling it about a quarter of the way because it's no longer solid. It's all fluffy with air. So now when I do it, I just fill it all the way.
All the way.
Because then as it it condenses and turns back into a liquid, it freezes over, then it defrosts, and it works. So I still do that.
See, I do think because this was the first time we did this, we were slightly nervous
Afraid.
about it exploding as well.
Yeah, exactly. And now I'm just like,
Just pour it in
fully.
there.
I mean,
But talk about not being afraid. I mean, we're like, yeah, like we can do this.
yeah,
What did my kids tell me? I am the salutatorian of YouTube. I am like, nope, I got this. I can YouTube it.
you can find anything on YouTube.
Yeah, no,
You find
it's awesome. So yeah, it was a good time. It's always been fun.
Well, again, thank you.
My pleasure.
Anybody who's watching, if we hope that you found this enjoyable, I ask that you share it with somebody who needs it. It's something that they need. If you go to our website, thesolutionprogram.com, we have a free checklist of 10 things not to do when your loved one gets in trouble
Oh,
with
sorry.
CPS. Oh, no, it is funny.
Sorry.
And the way it's set up is there's like a ladder of services. If you cannot follow the directions on the 10-point checklist, then you might need to go into the family in crisis
Oh,
or the family survival kit. We have a lot of different tools available for families and for the user. Definitely want to help them. So if there's anything that we can do to help, please let us know. Share this with somebody who can use it, and please subscribe. We want to see those
sure.
numbers go up. We got 2 million people behind the wall. We'd like to see 2 million people on the other side of the wall. Thank you so much.
Save the bees.